So Parasyte, like...
Speaking of things that infected the entire planet...
It's interesting that it took them so long to adapt this into an anime, but if you think about it, they couldn't have animated it before.
Yeah. I mean, they could have done like well, actually, there's a fascinating history of people who wanted to adapt this show.
It could have been OVAs.
An OVA would have been doable.
Yeah.
At one point, I believe Ghibli wanted to do a Parasyte. Yes. Yeah.
That's the fucking craziest thing.
Well, Miyazaki liked the politics of the show, which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Yeah, and
wow.
Yeah, like they were thinking about doing it. Miyazaki in particular really liked the manga. Suzuki, who's sort of like the third head of Ghibli that doesn't get a lot of talk. He's like the main producer for everything. He's like, I also really liked it. The original manga was very interesting. And they really wanted to do it, but of course they didn't do it. And then I also believe that Jim Henson Studios also wanted to take a crack at it at some point.
That would have been
because in
the
2005, New Line Cinema
world.
acquired the rights, and so they were working with Jim Henson Studios and Don Murphy allegedly in charge of production, but their rights expired in 2015.
So this show has been wanting to be adapted for a long time, and now it's like all at once, because the live-action movie came out, Japanese-directed movie came out, actually before the anime, which is kind of crazy. And then the anime. For a show that's like 20-plus years old, like a manga, like it's kind of out there.
I mean, it's kind of similar to what happened with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because that was an 80s manga, and it had a hilariously unsuccessful OVA and then a moderately successful OVA, but then they just were like, let's just do the manga now, like beat for beat, and now that OVA from the 90s looks garbage compared to the anime now. It just finished airing. So I guess they're not like, there's always hope for old franchises to get new life that's actually good.
So,
I mean, look at Astro Boy next year.
Okay. So the series was written and illustrated by Hitoshi Iwaki. And again, as I said, it was from 1988 to 1995. And it's about a world where these little wormy guys, these little spores fall down from Earth. And out of the spores are these wormy parasites, and they try to get inside people and take over their bodies for reasons that they don't even know. And this poor kid, who's our main character, Shinichi, his parasite fails to take over his brain because he actually was really clever despite being half asleep and confused, and kind of tourniqueted his arm so it couldn't crawl all the way up to his brain. And took over his...
Yeah, and he had earbuds in his ear. I don't know if that was... I assume that was not in the manga.
That was in the manga. He had a Walkman. He was sleeping with a Walkman.
So, but they were still, like, headphones, right?
Yeah.
Walkman had, like, those clippy earbuds.
Oh.
Not in the 80s.
Yeah, they did.
It coulda. I don't know. I don't know about what they had in Japan.
Yeah. Oh, one thing to say, Nina has read the entire manga. Tooch, have you?
Absolutely not. I just know that the ending is different, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, and I haven't read that either. So we're going to be going to Nina as our manga correspondent.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
So this show is
So I've got some questiones.
This show is infamous for its use of body horror.
Well, the franchise. The show's new.
The franchise, yes. Parasyte itself was known as, like, the body horror manga. Like, it kind of really pushed it... Because, I mean, body horror appears in a lot of horror, but this manga, it's like the premise is that these things distort the human body.
Yeah.
And this guy has this crazy hand that goes in all these weird... does all these weird things.
I'd actually want to talk about our relationship with body horror, because, like, Nina, you are the most familiar with this series. You were the first one to read it and watch it, and you really like body horror, and the things you don't like regular horror.
Yes, I love horror manga because it doesn't have any sound. So there's no jump scares.
Yeah, fuck them.
It's like truly creepy, crazy stuff, but I'm not like, because I jump scare with everything. Like, if somebody calls my name when I don't expect it, I like, So I just can't do horror movies.
What's interesting about this show is that although it's body horror, it doesn't have really any other principles of horror. There's really no tension and release. The
manga's the same.
Yeah, it's just that people's bodies get real fucked up. Because it's like, look at, say, Silent Hill. Fantastic body horror. Body horror that I'm sure you can appreciate, of all these, gross inside-out meat women walking around with their knees up their butt. But the thing is that they're gonna jump out and go a boogity-boo at you, and that's the problem. That's what the problem is. And
that's the problem.
I have a similar thing. Like, horror comics, I can just crush them. But yeah, like, movies, you're like, but eventually it's over. Games are the hardest because like in a movie you scream, no, don't go in there, don't go in there. In a game, you've got to be the idiot who goes in there.
Yeah, and in a comic, you can control the pacing.
Yeah.
If you need to stop, you can stop. If you want to flip ahead to see if there's something crazy, you can flip ahead. You can do whatever you need to do, right?
Yeah.
But anyway.
And the thing is, so like, if you're in that Venn diagram where you like body horror but don't like being spookied, then this is, even the anime is great for you because it's not scary in the traditional sense. It's just people's bodies get fucked up.
Pretty much. So my history with this franchise was the anime came out in October of 2014, and I had heard stuff on the internet about Parasyte. I was curious about it for a while. And then, the manga was coming out. I mean, the anime was coming out. So I thought, hey, this would be a great chance for me to check out this whole thing. So I started watching it as it was airing on Crunchyroll. And I got to this show is crazy with cliffhangers.
Yeah.
I got to a huge cliffhanger episode towards the beginning, which destroyed me because it had a mommy in it, which we'll talk about later. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can't wait. I can't. I'm going to die. I'm going to throw up and die. So I looked up the manga and I read it within like a week. Because I needed to know what happened to these characters. Because the thing that really got me is that I knew this series was going to be a horror manga. I knew it was going to be body horror. I thought it was just going to be gross, kind of snuffy fun. I did not expect to care about these characters. Especially since I know, as a horror, they're probably all gonna die. So it was a very different experience than what I expected.
Yeah, at this point, like, knowing just how, like, horror and, especially horror anime and this kind of stuff works out, like, I don't know whether or not it was to my detriment, but I just went in here, like, going, like, okay, let me just mentally steel myself. I can't care about any of these people, because they're gonna die. So, let's just watch this. And it was, it's still entertaining, but, like, I don't know, I was honestly anticipating, it kind of punked me in reverse, because, like, again, getting ahead of myself, I guess I keep sprinkling ending foreshadowings, but it's like, the ending wasn't what I was steeling myself for it to be, and I was like,
me too.
Pleasantly punked.
Me too. Like, I was like, oh, this girl's gonna die, his dad's gonna die, everyone's just gonna fucking
Everyone's
die.
gonna die, and the parasites
like,
are gonna
so
take over the
sad
world,
about it.
and it's just gonna be the worst. So I just looked up I found some scans of the manga, and I looked at the ending. I was misinformed. The ending is basically the same.
The show is more or less exactly the same, except that it's updated for the time period. Because, the manga was written at a time that was there was no internet, there was no cell phones, fashion was a little bit different. So the anime just kind of brought it to the modern era. Other than that, it really didn't change
I wish
anything.
it didn't, so that the dub could be full of, like, really shitty 80s lingo. Whoa, my hand's a parasite, fucking gnarly.
This franchise, you think it's gonna be dumb and just gross, And it surprises you by being a lot smarter and a lot more interesting
Yeah, like
than
you
you
guys
thought it would be.
You guys are saying a lot of stuff about your expectations. I'm trying to think back, because I finished the show over 2 weeks ago, and I'm trying to think back if I had any expectations, and I think I forgot to make them. I just was like, people's brains are gonna turn in. I just knew that people's heads were gonna turn into, crazy
Mouths.
blood flowers. It was gonna be meat flowers blooming in a bone garden. By the way, that album turned 15 years old today. Coral Fang by the Distillers, my favorite album by my favorite band. I'm done. But so I knew that like people's brains were going to go all over the place, but I didn't know anything else it was going to do. I had no preconceived notions and I just forgot to make expectations. I was excited to check out the show. I was excited to be surprised. So I forgot horror tropes. I forgot the idea that like, oh yeah, all these people, at least half of these people are going to be dead in the ground halfway through.
Yeah.
So I was surprised. I kept getting surprised when that happened.
Well, me too, because it doesn't feel like horror when you're watching it.
That's the thing, like, that. I think that's why I kept, like, because it's, like, tonally, it was so, like, it's a really...
It was very
it takes horror
slice of
in
life.
a really original way, and so I kept having to remind myself. Like, I kept having, like, every time the third act was about to happen, I kept going like, oh, wait, shit, I just remember what I'm watching. Okay, I'm ready now.
Yeah, it's like a mix between shonen and slice of life, but horrifying. Like, it completely blindsides you.
More like slice your life in half.
So, our main character is Shinichi Izumi, and he's a pretty competent lead for a character who's just supposed to be an everyman.
Yeah, he's not as
he's
insufferable of a total nerdlinger as most anime protagonists. He's still something of a nerdlinger, but really his only personality flaw I found is that he was shitty to his mom a few times, and I got mad at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
that's
stop
before, like, the shit with the Parasyte.
He was very stressed. And honestly, I didn't get so mad at it because I remember, sometimes, because you know your mom loves you, you can be kind of shitty to her because she can't hate you.
Wow.
That's something I've taken advantage of sometimes when I was younger and dumber and shittier. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally empathized with both of their situations. And like I would have just been like just tell them about your hand, but then it's like no, because the hand might just literally murder them immediately after.
Yeah, like he can't.
God damn it, Migi.
Now, one thing that friend of the show Devin Tuch's co-host on his other podcast, Metrospective, he said that the design was changed. That
the design was changed pretty significantly. He did have the transformation sort of thing where he like got more badass in the manga as well.
He got fucking hot. He looks like Ryu. He dresses like Rio, and I want to pull his dick clean off his balls because I don't know how dude sex works.
It was just more 80s, you know.
that explains why his hair's slicked back.
Yeah.
I mean, even before he had the transformation, his hair, I mean, it was like a mop, but it was an 80s style anime mop as opposed to this oddies mop of anime hair. I mean, I don't want to bore you guys with the transformation of anime hair, but there's a difference. And then he also didn't have glasses, even at any point. I guess they just added that in the anime to make it more extreme, to make it more like recognizably like this guy looks different now.
Yeah.
They pulled a Spider-Man.
I was gonna say it's the exact same scene from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man where he's like, "Oh, I don't need glasses no more because of my superpowers."
But it wasn't as fun. It was like, ugh, like he barely even thought about it because he had just died. So he was like, "Okay, whatever."
Oh, I guess
don't
this
care.
I guess this is a thing now. I'm hungry.
But I really do like his character because you think he would. It would be really easy to make him obnoxious or unlikable. And he seems boring, but like, I mean, he is a little boring. That's kind of part of the point, is he's just this regular guy. But the way that they write him, like, he's very believable. Like, all the actions he takes, none of them seem like they come out of nowhere. Like, they all seem like something you would do if you were in that situation.
Yeah.
And it makes him feel more like a real character, so you don't, like, hate him or anything.
Yeah, even the more, like, objectively irrational stuff, it's like, I see where he's coming from all these times.
Yeah, he never does anything where I'm like, fucking Shinichi, why? You know, I'm like, I get it, Shinichi, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I always sympathized with him, and especially, like, I really felt for him when he was dealing with his own humanity and slowly losing it, and, like, dealing with that. It was just, like, it was hard to watch in a good way.
Yeah.
That's basically the show. It's hard to watch in a good way.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. So the other main character is his Parasyte friend, who he dubs Migi, which just means right in Japanese.
Can I just say in the American publication when Tokyo Pop published it and they flipped everything so you could read it the American way?
Oh my god!
They had to call him Lefty.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Now in the dub, is he righty?
The dub, I don't know, because the first episode of they're only at the first episode of the dub on Toonami, so they haven't got to the part where he names him yet. So I'm very curious to see if they're going to name him Righty, because that's a little too, like...
I think the Wikipedia
familiar
article for his calls him Righty.
Yeah, I mean,
well, Migi also called Righty.
Righty makes sense as like translation wise, but like there's a connotation with that.
Like Migi sounds like a name. Righty isn't.
Righty sounds like,
well, see
he's your
buddy.
He's your buddy.
People, let me tell you about my best friend. He murdered several people.
And he helps me jack off.
Right?
Like that's what Righty sounds like to me.
Yeah, so and like the other thing is that like Migi's like, well, I'm in your right hand, so just call me right, because Migi's just right, as in the direction, correct?
Yes, it's just right.
Yeah, so to translate that directly, his name in the dub would just be right, because he has like, why are you naming me? Who gives a shit? So
but righty is 2 syllables.
Yeah, it's the syllables.
Yeah, it's a dub thing, but like contextually, it would make sense for him to. It's supposed to be a shitty name.
Yeah, it's supposed to suck. And Migi is the best. I love Migi.
Migi's design is incredible because it's an unmatched combination of gross and really adorable. And you know what it is?
He's a little flesh poop.
The main thing is, honestly, it's all in the lips. Nobody else in this show has lips, and he's got these enormous kissy lips.
Well, he has, like, actually anatomically correct lips, whereas everyone has anime lips.
Yeah.
His lips are so big and full, he could be a character on Steven Universe.
Yeah. And he's got, like, all these, like, very, like, carefully rendered teeth and everything. Like, his design is bizarre. At first, you look at him and he's like, yeah, it's not that scary. And, like
but
you
then
know.
you really look at him and you're like, ugh.
And then when he turned into a dog for like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, Migi is half of the reason why this series was successful at all. Like, because when this manga was published, nobody had seen anything like that before. You know, where the introductory shot of Migi where the mouth comes at the split between the thumb and the rest of the hand, and the eye and the finger, and the kissy lips, like, people were like, what the fuck is that? Like, it's a nightmare. But you end up loving him. So Migi's really interesting because, you know, he's our eye into these parasites, and they honestly don't even know what the hell they're doing, which is part of the fascinating part about the show.
Yeah, that's, I think, the most fascinating element of, like, the parasites as a species, is that, like, they compare them to insects a lot to refer to their lack of humanity, but it actually also refers to their kind of biological directives. You know, at the most basic level, any living organism has 2 directives. Stay alive, reproduce. And the first one is in service of the second one. These guys really only have the first one because, at least in the anime, I don't know if the manga's any different, Nina.
Nope,
it implies that it's not.
They don't know how to reproduce.
Yeah, they have no means of reproduction, so all they know that they're supposed to do is survive. But they're so intelligent that they can't be satisfied with that. You know, as an intelligent life form, they're seeking a more meaning from their life than that. And it's interesting to see they develop not just as a species, but like they develop a society in a very short span.
Well, they have to just ensure their survival, because even if they are these crazy, dangerous creatures, they're the minority. And at one point, the society says, like, humanity has something we don't have. They have community. You know, we have a system. Like, if a body turns up at the middle of the street, we have all of these fucking procedures to go along with what happens next. You know, it's...
Yeah.
Like, an invasion of that scale actually isn't feasible, because we could just eradicate the invaders.
It's very, like... It's very War of the Worlds, but better, where it's just like where it's just like this other race comes to take us over, but it's like, you don't actually know how this planet works, and now you fucking died. Great job. You don't know how to actually do what you wanted to do.
Yeah, so Miki, you know, immediately recognizes, like, okay, I failed, but I don't want to die, so I have to come up with some kind of... Instead of being a parasite, I have to have more of a symbiotic relationship with this kid. Because I don't want to die.
I gotta deal with this wiener.
We have to work together, you know? And, you know, he develops over time, like, you know, part of the main, like, dynamic is that in joining together, in the way that Shinichi becomes less human, Migi becomes more human. They sort of learn from each other, directly and indirectly, about life and whatever. So... You know, Migi
whatever,
just wants,
who cares?
Whatever, we'll get to it. So Migi wants to not die, and, you know, his primary goal is to, like, make sure Shinichi doesn't do anything stupid, and fight parasites when they encounter them, because other parasites can sense each other, like, psychically, within a small range. And when they see Shinichi and Migi, they're like, wait, why doesn't this kid have his brain taken over? He knows about us. He can't know about us. We have to kill him. So every single parasite that they encounter wants to kill him, basically. Which makes life pretty hard for the both of them. But they manage to make it work, because Migi's super smart, because he read all the books.
He read the whole... And in the anime, he reads the whole internet.
Yeah, in the anime he has the internet too, so...
I wonder how much of that time was just spent, like, on the Mario wiki.
Like, that was one of the neat touches they added with the anime, where he had the phone in class, like, and was, like, doing research on the phone. Because, you know, obviously that wasn't in the manga, but that was just kind of a cute thing that he probably would have done anyway. So, you know, we spend the most time with Shinichi and Miki, obviously, because they're the ones having this crisis. And then, you know, there's a lot of other characters, you know, a lot of humans, a lot of other parasites. We have Shinichi's girlfriend, Murano, who's, you know, like, they weren't, like, before all this shit happened, they were kind of just, like, you know, casual high school, like, probably dating, not officially dating.
Yeah, their friends are doing all this, or their friends are looking at all this will they, won't they bullshit, because of the two pretty meek people, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was honestly, like, when they finally actually did it, I was aghast. I was in disbelief that they actually did anything. And they did the whole thing, and I was like, good job! Wow, good for you.
Good
yes,
job,
you did
idiot. I'm so proud of this idiot.
Well, they really did develop Murano's friends a lot more.
Migi saw the whole thing.
Do you think, like, Migi could've, like, helped?
He might have taught Nikki don't.
That's one of the main sources of fan fiction for this show.
No.
Yeah, I mean, like...
What Migi... Because Migi, in the beginning, expresses curiosity of human sexuality, and that was in the manga. One of the most famous things in the manga, one of the reasons why it got as much attention as it did, is early on, and this was in the anime too, but in a slightly different context, you know, Shinichi is hanging around Murano. He's kind of nervous, because he likes her, and, you know, she kind of likes him too. And Migi senses his hormones, and he just turns his entire arm into a gigantic dick. And in the manga, they show the whole damn dick. In the anime, they have to be a little bit more...
Is that what that was?
That was his arm... yeah, I mean... That was his arm turning...
In the anime, I thought he just starts jerking him off.
No, Migi turns his arm into a dick because he senses Shinichi's hormones, and he's very curious about human sexuality. Like,
yeah.
In a later scene, when Shinichi invites Murano home and his parents are out, and, like, they kind of... Shinichi tries to make a move, but Murano's like, "No, I'm gonna go home."
That was that was so dope of her. He's like, hey, my parents aren't home. It's like, oh yeah, cool, all right.
And then Migi was like, I'm disappointed. I wanted to see human intercourse. So he did get to see it.
I wanted to see two teens fuck. Migi, shut up.
I can just imagine, just like, why are you using your left hand so much? It's like, don't ask.
I played too much tennis.
But that's literally
I sniffed a fart earlier.
That's kind of the equivalent of, like, the Scooby-Doo they were high the whole time joke. And that literally everybody who experiences this franchise thinks that immediately.
That Migi... that Migi helped Shinichi bring Murano to previously unexplored frontiers of sexual pleasure.
Yes.
The ultimate wingman.
He turned into a wing inside her, and, like, who even knows what that would feel like?
Oh, God. Ugh. Don't. Okay. But, I mean, other than that, her role really seems to be, like, she is his humanity. Like, she's his callback to, like, his normal, regular world and, like, his relationships with people. Because, you know, he gets caught up in some crazy shit and loses connection with the rest of everybody else. And she always kind of comes in and tries to drag him back in and be like, you know, what are you doing? You're different. Blah, blah, blah. Like...
Yeah. And you go through a bit of, like, the Spider-Man thing where it's like she should have... It's weird that she keeps giving him all these chances.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess she just...
I mean,
she was scared and concerned. Like,
yeah.
she'd grown up knowing this guy, and, like, all of a sudden, all this crazy shit was happening, and not just with him, but with everywhere. Like, their school was attacked multiple times. Students were murdered. She saw it. She's like, I don't know what's going on, and I'm scared for you, you know?
I think she could sense that it was that a lot of what was wrong with him were circumstances beyond his control, and
also, like, the thing with his mom, which... I mean,
well, she never knew that his mom died.
Yeah, no one ever knew that.
She knew she was missing. That was public. That was common knowledge. That the mom was just gone.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just... She knew there was some shit going down in his house and just... in his life. It was obvious. Like, he couldn't hide that, you know? He's not a...
Yeah.
He's a teenager. He can't hide all this crazy shit that's going on in his life. He's a human being, you know? And the people who know him could sense it. His mother, too, was like, Shinichi, what is going on? Like, in that mom way.
Yeah.
Of like, you're different. This isn't the son I raised. But it's like, I don't understand. All right. And then we also have Kana, who was always my least favorite part. She's sort of like she's another girl. She's kind of like in the manga, she was more of like a Yankee kind of girl.
I could identify that she was like, before I learned her name, I called her a Yankee because she was hanging out with guys who were more clearly Yankee. She had like the medical mask and shit.
Yeah,
but,
like she's like from a different school, and for some reason, she can sense parasites, and she becomes infatuated with Shinichi and develops a crush on him, and it becomes this kind of like weird love triangle, but not. Because Shinichi is just fucking terrified that she's gonna die.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And though the series never makes it explicit why some humans can sense parasites, it's sort of like kind of implied that it's a matter of like animal instinct, like being able to sense a predator.
Yeah.
That's sort of what it's implying. That's what's happening. She dies.
Yeah, she's that was like, regardless of what I was saying so far, that was really upsetting. I honestly liked her. I liked her as a character.
She was a nice girl, and she was cool, and she meant well, and she was really relatable with her sexy dreams, and like...
Oh my god, the sexy dream was incredible. He looks like fucking... Shinichi looked like fucking Fist of the North Star guy in that dream. Was that Kentaro?
I think his name is just Ken. Hotaru Ken or something. His name is just Ken. Whatever.
Something like that. Yeah, it was hilarious, and it was like, it made her very relatable, because she's just a high school girl. She met this, like, weird guy who's, like, mysterious and shit, and then she doesn't know what the hell she's doing, and unfortunately, it was very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got the other human friends, Akiho and Tina Belcher.
Yuko, who has more of a role. I mean, she always had a role in the manga, too, because her brother is a criminal profiler, like, illustrator for the police department, and he, like, is trying to draw these parasites and, like, hear these people's stories, and so she kind of has an idea of the parasites before it becomes public knowledge. And the other friend is just there.
But Yuko's definitely Tina Belcher.
And then I think all the other... I mean, there's Shinichi's mom and his dad, who are pretty normal parents.
Origami for the humans.
The origami, yeah. The anime actually foreshadowed him in the first episode, whereas in the manga he kind of just appeared in that arc where he became important. Some of the worst panels involve him, because there's less censorship in the manga, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
he's the worst.
It's not clear in the anime that he's a cannibal.
Yeah, there's one panel in particular that I don't really want to talk about.
Oh.
If you've read the manga, you know about it, but, like, I still think about it and I just cringe. Like, it's awful. And he's there to represent the worst in humanity. Like, humanity's the real monster kind of deal.
Yeah, and, like, he's doing... As a serial killer, he's got crazy delusions of grandeur. He's like, I'm what humanity is. This is... Everyone else is living a fucking lie, and I'm the only guy who has the balls to see what the shit is.
I keep it real.
Oh yeah, and one more human character is well, I mean, there's a couple, but Uda, yeah, who's in the same boat as Shinichi and Miki. He has his own parasite that merged with his body, who eventually becomes Joe or Jaw. Because he just merged with his Jaw. And Jaw's hilarious.
Yeah, because Jaw learned all his shit by just, like, watching daytime television.
So he's, like, really kind of more vulgar and very different from Miki.
Whereas Miki's speech is very deliberate and formal.
Mm-hmm. They're the characters who I'm the happiest or remained alive. I was waiting for them to die in the exact same episode they fucking showed up. And again, they punked you. Like,
yeah.
Oh my god, like, cause I was so, cause like that would be such a thing. It's like, oh no, it's the only relatable person to me. They're gone now. Like, that's classic horror shit. Is that this? I don't know.
No, Uda is wonderful.
This is a cool manga and show that is different.
Yeah, like he's also kind of the first character that, like, kind of lets on that Shinichi's not doing so hot. Like, when they meet, he explains his situation because he's on the island looking after his dad after the incident with his mom, and he explains what happened. And Uda's just, like, crying his eyes out, and Shinichi's like, "What?
Who cares?
Why are you so sad?" Which is kind of like our first hint that he's, like, getting super desensitized to what's happening to him. And then, we have some private investigators later on that become more important. Detectives, military duders. The more interesting character...
Kana's ex-boyfriend, Yankee dude.
Yeah, but the more interesting characters left are the parasites. Particularly Reiko Tamura, who kind of has a couple of names. Ryoko Tamiya, because parasites are bad at names.
Yeah, she needs to change the identity, so she's like, oh, this is similar.
She's one of the most fascinating characters, I think, in the entire show, or franchise in general. And she really, embodies that idea that Nikki was talking about earlier, where, they're hyper-intelligent creatures, and they're not just satisfied with surviving. And, because of their violent lifestyle, most of the parasites actually don't live very long. And she gets to this point because she's allowed to live as long as she does, which is only a couple months, but still. She's still kind of an enigma to me. I mean, I guess she just...
And the other thing is that the person, the body that she took over was pregnant at the time. So she gives birth...
No.
What?
No, she fucked Mr. A as a parasite. They did it together as an experiment.
Yeah, just to see what would happen.
That's a crazy thing for two people to do. I guess that's how it happened the first time.
Well, they had learned about human reproduction, and they were curious if they could reproduce their own kind. So they thought they would use their human bodies to do that.
Turns out,
and that's why Nikki was so
baby.
curious about reproduction, because, again, that's part of the animal instinct.
Yeah, you gotta just figure it out. And, for humans it worked, and for them it didn't. Sorry, guys.
So, she took over the body of one of Shinichi's teachers. She's very intelligent, very well-read, very smart, tries to learn as much as she can. Gets pregnant because she's curious about having a baby with some, loser guy named Mr. A who sucks and gets killed. I think the first guy that Shinichi kills?
No, Reiko kills him, according to the wiki.
Oh, yeah.
Reiko finally kills him for endangering her human cover.
Oh, yeah.
Right. She's part of this whole parasite organization. They try to team up, create safe spaces where they can feed on human... We haven't even mentioned that part. So the parasites have to eat human flesh. That's part of the problem.
Well,
with
here's
guys.
the thing, is that's their initial instinct, is to eat human flesh or to eat the flesh of each other. Later they realize, we can just eat, burgers and shit.
Yeah,
We've been going through all this trouble for nothing. Some of these burgers are pretty okay.
Yeah, but it's then they just do it just because they want to super bad, and it's okay.
No, trust me, guys, I'm quitting smoking. I just have 3 a day. It's the same thing.
So, she's part of this whole group. They get somebody elected mayor. They create safe zones for they to feed without getting caught by authorities. But she kind of gets... she doesn't like those people after a while. She kind of, doesn't give a shit anymore. Because she kind of advances past them.
She grew up, and now she's a surly teenager who thinks she's smarter than her whole dumb family.
She kind of is. The way that she offed those guys was really enjoyable.
Yeah, no, that was the hypest shit. I loved that entire thing. But then, she just becomes a yokai for a second.
Yeah.
It's
That's
scary.
another one of the most famous scenes is her pulling her head apart to reveal that there's nothing inside.
Oh, yeah, that was dope. And, that whole thing where she's also Spider-Manning around using her head.
Yeah.
That was great.
She has this baby, and at first she has, no attachment to it, the way that she holds the baby and,
like a dog.
tells it to shut the fuck up when it cries.
Man, is that, a thing you could learn, though? She's like, I trained it very well. How? Was it really uncool? Because if not, I would like to learn it.
Reiko Tamara is secretly the best parent.
Yeah.
And she is, because she ends up somehow, despite her every instinct that would tell her otherwise, ends up caring for her child.
Yeah.
To the point where it costs her life.
That scene, they're having this heart-to-heart, and you still hear, one guy firing around, every 3 seconds. You hear, cat, cat, cat.
It's Jeffrey, be cool.
That scene really gets me.
I had to watch that twice.
It's one of my favorites, because... Shinichi has reached this point where, if he doesn't rediscover himself, he's, never going to. And she, of all people, she's the one that unlocks all his feelings that he's been holding back. And, and it's kind of neat, because the show keeps, the franchise kept kind of, alluding to it. Every time he saw a mom, his scar would hurt where he got stabbed in the heart by that parasite that took over his mom. And at first we're kind of like, what is happening? Like, what's happening is of PTSD is what's happening.
Was he... I get... If you don't get it, it's like, oh, I guess his chest hurts from when he was stabbed.
And, like, he sees this fortune teller before, and the fortune teller's like, you will meet the person who created the hole in your heart, and he's like, I killed that person.
That will be 5,000 yen.
He does one of those super rendered manga faces.
Yeah.
Which this show does a couple of times where they like add like 700 lines of shading. And it's always super weird. Yeah, and that injury that the Paris mom gave him, like, in order to save his life, Migi, like, put some... The exact pseudoscience of it kind of... I lost a bit of that, but, like, he puts some of him in his bloodstream, so, like, there's, like, more parasite, like, all through him, not just in the arm. So that...
No, what Migi did is he went inside and, like, physically put the heart back together and, like, made the cells, like, regenerate quickly to, like, fuse itself together, basically. Like, he, like, kickstarted the metabolism.
He kickstarted his heart and never stopped.
I was gonna let you do that one because I knew you were gonna. But then what happened was he basically underestimated the power of the human heart, and so like all his little giblets, like but little like the organ, not in a shonen way. Like so all his little giblets got all mixed up.
Well, he did do that too, like, but later.
And he was like, shit, like they're too tiny, so I can't talk to them anymore, so they're just there now.
And then Shinichi gets superpowers.
Yeah, so as a result, he's got like parasite shit going through his blood, so he gets a basic Spider-Man set: strength, speed, endurance, jump high, eyes better,
senses. He can hear a lot of shit.
But he also loses his humanity a little bit.
Yeah. But it's unclear if that was a physiological reaction or just him, or like a shell that was being built. That ambiguity.
That's what I loved. Like when with that moment with Reiko when he finally breaks down and went, oh, so it was just fucking you this whole time? Like fuck. Yeah, I mean, I thought you were an alien now.
No, his mom and that's what it revealed. It's like, the credits has this really cute thing where. And like the first half, it's like nerdy Shinichi, and he's like opening the door, and it's like, hi.
Even after he's no longer nerdlinger Shinichi.
And then after that, it's like new Shinichi comes through the door, like he's come back.
Hello there.
And that was like the metaphor that they use. He's come back. He's himself again. Because he was able to address the pain of losing his mom, which was something he never really acknowledged. But it, like, destroyed him. I mean, it's his mommy, and she was a really rad mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had no, like, reaction to it. And, like, the idea, he was saying, like, I can't have any reaction to it. And, like,
I can't cry.
You know what would have been really appropriate is if I could have cried during that scene, but it didn't happen. That would have been, like, mwah. Gets 2 fingers like the pizza guy.
That's what I thought was what happened, and I was like, perfect. But no.
No, I cried at a scene with a dog. So, okay, if you, like, really like dogs, which I do, like, but if you're, like, really sensitive to dogs having a bad day, don't watch this, because, like, some dogs get fucked up.
One parasite takes over a corgi, and Migi kills it by ripping out its dog heart and crushing it.
Yeah, it's the first fight against a parasite. It's like, fighting the level 1 goblin outside the first town. It's just a dog. Like, that sucks. And then...
I love how Migi's assessment of that situation was basically just like, wow, I thought I fucked up.
Yeah. Look at... Hey, Shinichi, get a look at this jackass. And Shinichi's like, bazooka barfing. But, so, the other scene with the dog, and I want to talk about this one, because it's very powerful for me. Because this is at post-transformation where he's got the heightened senses. Shinichi sees a puppy in the road that got hit by cars, dying.
Well, he hears its whimpering.
He hears the whimper because he's got super hearing. I guess that's more Superman, whatever. And so he's holding the dog as it's dying, talking to...
Murano.
I only remember her first name, but they only say like 4 times Satomi. He's talking to he's talking to Murano, and after a certain point, it's like, oh, the dog's dead. And then he just puts it in a trash can.
They're in a park, he gets up, walks over to the trash can, and puts it inside.
And that was the hardest I've cried in 2 years. It was for like 8 seconds, and I was trying to force it out, like, to be longer than that, but I lost it very briefly at that.
What was it, the fact that he threw it away?
It's a sad thing to happen to a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
And you got, like, to me, that was the biggest picture that this show ever illustrates of how fucked up he is. Of how much how he's just an animal at that point. Cause like, I mean, I've said this before, when I die, throw my body in the garbage, who cares? But like, a dog is different.
It was a
tiny little puppy. And like, there was another point later in the show where like another puppy that looked just like that showed up and like, oh fuck! But like, nothing happened to it. I kind of don't know why they put that puppy there. But I was glad.
Fuck with you.
I was glad it turned out okay.
Yeah, and Murano obviously fucking.
Murano was like at that point, like, this is what I was saying, like, I can't believe she didn't give up on him. Like, if I saw somebody do that, I would extricate them from my life.
But I mean, it's so sad because it's like he has this. The animal part took over, but it's also like the sadness of life. It's like, okay, it's dead. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and like, I actually do think that way about a lot of stuff. Like, that's how I contextualize death a lot of the time. But with a puppy, it's different, and maybe that's just dumb sentimentality, but I don't want a puppy to be in the trash.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, even if Shinji wanted to look at it, like by the books, the black and white situation, Shinji, you can't do that. That's a biohazard.
Yeah, it's like, you gotta dispose of bodies properly, or whatever. Which is why, like, it's not okay to just throw somebody's body in the trash when they die. Like, even if they were a jerk, you gotta get them a funeral. That's fucked up.
At least roll them up in a carpet.
He freaks out about it too, because he's like, wait, did I do the wrong thing? And Migi's like, no, but he's like, wait, if you said I didn't do the wrong thing, then I definitely didn't.
I don't trust you, and I trust her.
But, he did, get the body out and bury it under a tree, which later comes back in the scene with Reiko when he's, again, unleashing the pain within, where it's like all the death he's seen.
Yeah. And
all of this tree, it's like life and death, and instead of seeing it in like this very fatalist, like animalistic, well, it's dead, who gives a shit? It's like, no, they're dead, and I do give a shit, but I'm alive, They're dead, but I'm alive. Which is a hard thing to reconcile. That's like one of the hardest things when you're grieving or when you witness something traumatic.
Yep.
Is that reality. It's like, they're dead, I'm not. Why? And he finally asked himself that question while holding a baby in his arms, very thematically. So, I love it. I think it's gorgeous. The way it was so well done.
Yeah, it's like, because it's like there's so much, like there's so much of that all that kinds of imagery and the themes and just the way they all mesh together with the perfectly seamlessly with the story and the characters and their situations. Like it's they never beat you over the head with anything. It just all works. It just all melds together so fucking flawlessly to tell this story and make you feel things on purpose for reasons.
Yeah, and make you think about all this stuff.
At no point, because it's difficult to do. Like, I'm not, like, it's difficult to do, and I'm amazed that they pulled it off, because, like, with most stuff, even with good stuff, sometimes you get to, like, a scene where it's, like, they're obviously trying to hit you over the head with something, you're just like, I fucking get it. Like, this is the point of the thing. Or it's like, oh, yeah, here we go again with the moral of the story, or whatever. But it's like, no, like, it's... Like, I never felt that at all. Like, I knew what they were doing, but at the same time, but it didn't deter from what it was.
Yeah, like, I knew what they were doing, but I wasn't sure where they were going exactly when I was first experiencing it. I was like, okay, I kind of get it. They're playing with things like like kingdom and the hierarchy of needs and who's on top of the food chain and
I meant to mention
being monsters and destroying the earth.
I meant to mention Maslow with the parasites because they definitely go through that over the course of like 3 months. They just climb it.
They just climb it, and they get like even Migi eventually
they sign up for
compassion.
Camp Maslow.
Like at one point, like Migi is explaining to this investigator guy why he needs to get the fuck off of Shinichi's back because he's endured a lot of shit, and Shinichi's like, "What, Migi? You're not acting like yourself. Why are you talking about me with such like concern?" You know, it's very, I don't know.
That was basically my reaction. I was waiting for Migi to be like, "Oh, that's just what I knew he needed to hear."
No, but Migi, he cares about Shinichi. He really does. By the end,
but he doesn't really know how to reconcile it. So like,
no, he doesn't really understand why he's doing it either. Because like,
yeah, but by the end of the manga, Migi's kind of like tsundere almost.
well, Migi goes through like a profound enlightenment, basically.
Yeah. And, like, again, it's ambiguous. Is it the mixture of, like, human brain chemicals in the blood that are, like, fucking with his parasite brain? Or is it that he's learning? We don't really know. They say it's the first thing a lot.
Yeah, they imply that. But, you know,
exact same thing with Shinichi. But yeah, you're gonna say Reiko didn't have any human brain chemicals getting into her.
Well, maybe because she was pregnant. Maybe that's the implication.
Maybe that's the implication. If you want to be like, no, they don't learn anything on their own. If that's the route you want to take. And I guess you know what I think of you if that's your route because of the deep voice I did. But
well, I think it's the reason why they grew to that point is because they had relationships with humans.
Yeah.
And they learned from humans. Instead of like looking down on them, they're like, there's something here that's useful actually. Somehow. And I love how vague everything kind of is at the end. Like, there's no real answer. Like, are humans monsters? Do we need a predator to kill us?
Are we humans? Are we dancers? I'm sorry, Tooch, but that song will never stop being funny.
It's like, Shinichi just like, we're alive.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, we can't fix it.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just one dipshit.
Maybe your head will get eaten and your body will be taken over by a parasite. Maybe you'll get stabbed on a roof by a serial killer. So, Nina, you were mentioning earlier how it's like, you know, by the end of it, you know, it's just sort of, it's not about, like, answering the questions. It's about, like, oh, we're just enjoying to be alive. But, like, I am slightly disappointed that we didn't at least get even so much as like a vague hint at the parasite's origins.
Yeah.
Like, were they manufactured? Are they from outside space? Are they from another dimension? Or I don't know. What is it? What are they?
I share that same curiosity. I share that same curiosity, but by keeping it unmentioned, you avoid the risk of the answer being extremely fucking stupid.
I guess.
Yeah, and that's the whole point.
Regardless of what the answer was, like, the answer is pointless.
Yeah, it doesn't, that's the whole point. It doesn't matter
it
where
fundamentally does not matter.
The question is, what do we, like, isn't where they came from. It's like,
what do we do with this thing?
What do we do? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, we'll get into this when we talk about the Iron Giant, but part of the reason why that movie works so well is because we never figured out where he was from.
No.
Right?
Right.
You know, and that makes it better, in a sense, because it doesn't matter where he's from. He's just not something we know.
Yeah, he's from the hearts and minds of all children.
Like Gamera. No, Mothra.
Yeah, he's Gamera.
Is it Mothra or Gamera who's friend to children?
They're both.
Cool.
Because I love them both.
And the version of the Iron Giant I just saw, one of the added scenes kind of gave more of a hint of where he came from. And it didn't really work.
Huh.
Because it doesn't matter. You know, it's not the point. It takes away from
I haven't thought
what's at the heart.
I don't know if I've ever wondered where he came from, because it's
No, I
completely
never
not
did.
the point of that fucking movie.
Yeah.
Exactly, and this is similar in that kind of sense. It doesn't matter. They just,
I think also
they're just there.
I think I just assumed he fell from space.
Well, yeah.
Oh, I mean, he
And same with the
definitely did.
Parasite.
No, he
Oh,
definitely
well, so
did.
yeah, that's where he came from. It's because that's kind of like a classic sci-fi trope. Is this weird war machine comes into our possession from some faraway planet that we can only assume destroyed itself from war? Like, that's a common trope. So that's why I never wondered. That was a Star Trek episode.
Yeah, and I figured the same thing was with Parasyte. They were just like weird.
But we didn't even know.
alien
We don't even
things.
know if they're alien.
Probably alien.
They just sort of like floated down from the sky.
It could be like Lucy Van Pelt's explanation of snow. They could have grown up from the ground and then got blown around by the wind, and it just looks like it came from the sky. Like,
what?
that was in fucking... Was it in Charlie Brown Christmas? That was in
Maybe
some,
I
that was
haven't
in
watched
some Charlie
it.
Brown
I haven't
thing,
watched it since.
where she said
last
snow
Christmas,
grows
I
from
guess.
the ground and gets blown around, so it looks like it comes from the sky.
Maybe.
I had leaky eyes during a lot of this. Like,
Yeah.
by my own definition, I haven't really cried in 2 years. Like, I haven't had that full borderline orgasmic release.
Yeah.
But like, and may it just been that I was wearing makeup through a lot of it and didn't take it off before I watched the show. So my eyes were all irritated. But like, there were a lot of times when I was like, I would just like tear up a little bit. Like, the scene after Kana dies, like after the funeral, and the ex-boyfriend confronts him and just like starts beating him up in the street. And the line was, you're not even human. And then Shinichi's been deadpan stone cold the whole time, just taking it. And he says, you're not even human. That's right! And he falcon punches the guy. And
Yeah.
because at that moment where he's like owning it, like he knows there's something wrong with him. And he's mad at himself for not being able to save Kana, for not being able to protect these people, and for not being able to feel anything properly. All he can be is be mad, and he takes it out on this dude, and like, he punches him once and like breaks every bone in his body.
Oh boy.
There's a lot of scenes where it's just the characters in the show are barely holding it together, and like, I can barely do it either.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, once Migi starts getting sad and like, once Migi starts worrying about him, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. At like 8 episodes in, I was so proud of myself that I realized that it was a metaphor for puberty, as if that wasn't obvious by the fact that it's an anime.
Yeah, I mean, it's a metaphor for a lot more.
It's a metaphor for a lot of things.
This isn't just Fooly Cooly. Like, this...
Yeah.
It's
I was
more
so
than that.
proud of myself. I was like, I finally did it.
You know, when they're having conversations, both just Migi and Shinichi, and like, Migi's like, parasites can change their appearance easily. Humans won't be able to catch them. And Shinichi's like, that's why we'll chase them down. And Migi's like, and kill them. And then Shinichi's like,
You said it.
Shut up.
and
Good
then Migi's
idea, Migi.
Like, Shinichi, I don't have human feelings. I don't feel anything when I kill my own species. But what about you? Will you be able to kill them?
Why would he say that? I know why he said that. He was like trying to make sure he can bring the heat when he
handle.
needs to.
Yeah, because... You know,
But like but if you don't
dangerous
think about that, it's just like he's antagonizing him. Well, I don't have any problem. I'll off a motherfucker all day, all night. What about you, pussy?
Well, it's like, in a sense, it's both. You know, because he still doesn't think very highly of humans, but he has to live with one, and he knows that humans are very sensitive in ways he doesn't understand at that point.
Let's talk about the action in this show, because it's fucking tight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you've got some pretty, like, I don't think this show would have been anywhere as good if they had made it before last year, because, you know, the techniques to make animation like that under a reasonable budget just weren't there.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done it. It just probably would have been much more expensive.
Yeah, it would have been like it would have been like Akira.
Good lord.
Like, the fight scenes are really good. They're well choreographed. They're well paced. The like we've talked about, it's been a while since we mentioned this, but the body horror is nuts. It's insane. It's different every time. They always turn into a different horrible meat flower.
Mm-hmm. With a knife at the end.
Yeah.
And, then there's Goto, like the fucking final boss man.
Yeah, who's made up of 5 parasites. And he's like jumping all over the place.
When I first saw like art of him, like images of him, I assumed, I was like, oh no, what if he's just like every parasite? What if he's the fucking mother brain of parasites?
Mother brain.
But no, he's just 5 of them.
That's not what mother brain was.
Yeah, I know.
Mother brain was one guy.
I know, but I forgot I was on a podcast with Nikki, so I shouldn't have said it.
And to get even more ahead of ourselves than we usually do, the cluster. That's kind of something.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I love that old grandma.
Oh, yeah. She was very Miyazaki.
She was!
Yeah, well, because at first she just starts yelling at him, and I'm like, you're really mean, but then I got it, and I was like, okay.
I mean, like... It was
like,
sad
look at him. He doesn't have an arm. He's not gonna rob you.
It was really sad with him without the arm. Like, when he was trying to eat.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
because, like, here's the thing. And, like, that's a hard grift to keep up because the arm looks like he's had it lost forever.
Yeah.
But then he's, like, trying to eat with his left hand and he sucks at it. So, like, that sends a confusing message.
Yeah, like the ladies probably were like, what the fuck?
Oh, you know what was my favorite kill? When he threw the rock at the guy 300 yards away at 1,000,000 miles an hour and just obliterated his heart.
Amazing.
That was awesome.
And it's like, Migi turns like all his extra cells into more muscles. I assume it's just like muscles stacked on top of muscles. Really wasting a lot of energy. It was.
Baseball
this is how
dreams.
this works.
And, like, that guy was really fucked up because he got the paint thinner poured on him and his cells fucked up.
Oh my god, that guy went through some abuse.
Yeah.
He was a shitter, though.
Yeah, man.
Fuck that guy. That girl just jumped out the fucking window and through a really big tree, and, like, I don't even think she attempted to grab a single branch.
No, Tina just took it.
And, like, what if she just landed on the ground, just...
You're flat on her back.
I guess the only other, like, big thing to talk about is the very end. I guess, like, the whiplash scene.
Tina Belcher would date a parasite.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, this isn't a thing anybody does anymore, but, like, if somebody was gonna make a Parasyte abridged series, that would be, like, the only goof. Yeah, the very end. So, are you talking about the scene where Bone Migi's like, I'm leaving you?
Well, the whole thing, like,
yeah,
where you think everything's over, and then they're like, nope, we got one last fucking emotional scene. You thought Murano wasn't gonna die. Well, here it is.
Well, guess what, motherfucker? You were right.
But we got you. I thought she just died. She felt like a long time before he grabbed him.
Well, that's why Migi stretched and grabbed her.
Yeah.
Although, like, even then, like, I feel like, because some of that was him just, like, already coming to terms and just, like, I felt like some of it was him, like, not exactly hallucinating, but, like, we were seeing things from his perspective, and he just thought she was super dead.
Yeah, so, like, he had seen this so many times before, so he just kind of assumed the worst.
And then he blinks, and it's like, oh, no, I actually grabbed her, and she's clearly not as far down as she fell.
Yeah, and Migi grabbed her.
But again, it's like, that's never...
No, it's ambiguous. It could have been a skewed perspective on his part.
I think he just straight up grabbed her.
Well, I mean, Migi said, I'm tired of holding her. When he left him when Migi came back and was like, hey... I guess let's have some moralizing. I'm going to catch you up to what I've been doing inside of the universe where I'm living now, I guess. And at the end, he was like, all right, Shinichi, it's time to get out of here. I'm tired of holding on. Implying that he's the one that was holding on to Murano. The only reason why Migi came out was because
Migi was fucking dropping so much philosophic poetry on me. I completely missed that.
Yeah.
He was like Carl Sagan made out of incorrect bones.
Like, well,
Migi is Carl Sagan's teratoma.
Like, that was the most significant act, though, because it was, Migi said, I'm gone, I'm not coming back. But he came back because he knew that if this happened, Shinichi would be miserable, and he still cared about Shinichi.
Miki's still grossed out by my joke.
Yeah, like, here's the thing. We're like, oh man, the body horror in this show's so cool, people's heads turn into blood spiders, but like, I'm thinking about a teratoma, and I'm gonna
because they're real.
Yeah.
That's why Shinichi was like, thank you, Migi, because Migi got out of whatever he was doing to help him one last time.
Yeah, well, because I just figured that, like, if it was actually ambiguous, it could have been him, just, like, I don't know, like, maybe he just, I don't know. Like, he just assumed it was, and I was sort of like, because I was sort of, like, watching going, like, nah, bro, you did that. Don't, like, you don't need Migi anymore.
Remember when Shinichi threw a flaming car on that guy? And it didn't work at all. Man.
God.
What a good show. It's all on Hulu, the Japanese, the sub.
Mm-hmm. Toonami is currently airing it. The first episode aired last week, which was the Saturday the 3rd.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not a dub person, you're not a dub person. If you're not a sub person, from the clips I've seen, it seems perfectly watchable.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. I liked it a lot. Shinichi, sometimes his voice did a little weird thing here and there, but that's just growing pains with the actor.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near as bad as Aaron's voice actor from Attack on Titan. Migi works really well. Like, at first I was like, Migi's talking really fast.
He's
but
very different.
Within the context of the English language, everything comes together really well, I would say. So,
that's good.